So this is testing databases on request of So I'm going to share my screen so that gets recorded. And okay, so let's do the PETS database because that's what we do when we test databases, or that's what we do when we do databases. So let's see, I'm going to, hold on just a minute. So attention in the room, please. I'm actually giving a lecture on testing databases. You are welcome to join, but if you do not join, I'll ask you to take your conversations elsewhere so I'm not competing. Thank you. Okay, so great. So testing databases. So let's look and see what the state of my PETS database is. I've got pets, owner, species, blah, blah, blah. If I do a, okay, oh, I've been changing names as part of the Ajax thing. So and if we do owners, how can I get the names of all pets and their owners? Well, I just did select all from owners, but that didn't give me the pets. Oh. Select all from owners. Select all from pets. Where what's the join table? Pet owners. All right, so let's actually, okay, so we have select star from owners. I don't really like this join select star from pets. So when we do join, we generally join to a table. So I'm going to say join pets, but what do we join on? This is owners. Well, that's not very easy to, let's do this a little differently. So I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm going to go to source, Ajax scaffold, pets, and I am going to, yeah, we're going to just test right here. Why not? And so let's atom this. And I'm going to, okay. And let's just look at the tables and do this. Okay. So here are my tables. I'm gonna just, species is not the most interesting thing. Okay, so I'm gonna select star from owners. What can I join pets and owners on? You need to join it. Yeah, pets and owners don't have anything to join. They don't have any columns in common. So I'll join pet owners on, oh, let's see, owners as O, pet owners as PO on O dot what? No, actually the pet owner ID, yeah, that's the unique key for the row. Okay, am I done? No, so far from it. Okay, now what? Drawing what?
Pets. As P.
PE.
On P dot pet ID equals PO.
For heaven's sake. Okay. And then I don't really want star. I didn't really tell you what I wanted, but what of this seems interesting? O.name. I'm going to say as owner name. As pet name. So, and just to make this, I can do. Okay. Do I need a where clause here? I don't think so. You know, I didn't say that I wanted only particular pets. All right, so let's try this. Ah, look at that. Okay, so, all right, so that was just a little warm up. All right, so now let's look and see if I'm really going to be testing the, if I'm really going to be testing this app. So this is what I'm going to actually be testing. I'm going to be testing these functions: get pets and species, update pet name. Those are the functions I'm going to be testing. And look at this. I've already got part of what I need. I've already got part of what I need. If the node environment is test, then I'm going to use the pets test database. Otherwise, I'm going to use the pets database. How does this get set? How do I set this to test? How does that get set? How do you set the node env? How do you set this environment variable? Because process.env is looking at your environment variables. You could either do it in the terminal or in your script as you define it in package.json. Oh, look at that. I'm exporting node env equals test. And then I'm running Mocha. Hey, look at this. I'm exporting node env equals dev. And then I'm doing an npm start if I'm doing a dev start. These are my little hints as to what mode I'm in when I'm running the program.
Will you not be running the start, or would you just run each one? Because the dev start is npm start, the test doesn't start.
Ah, yes. So when you do an npm test, I don't need to actually start my app. I just want to run the tests, which is what Mocha does. Cool. Okay. So the fact is, if I were just to run So I want everybody to think about this. I don't want anybody to say it out loud right now. If I were just to run Mocha here, which database would be used for the tests? If I were just to run Mocha here.
You haven't run the command to change it to the test environment.
So which database is it going to use then? This is not going to be true, so the ternary is going to default to the false condition. Now you don't actually know that. We actually right now have no information as to what process.env.nodenv is. We haven't deliberately set it to anything, but we don't know. We don't know what it actually is. It just occurred to me that I don't know if I'm recording. Okay, otherwise Kelsey, I just fear the wrath. Okay, so so how would I see what the node env environment variable is set to right now?
You said that yesterday. I forgot what you called this.
I'm asking, how would I know what the node env environment variable is set to right now?
Ooh, can you echo and
Okay, echo. Then what?
$sign? Oh yeah. I think you did it that way.
Okay.
Or maybe you can go echo node underscore.
Yeah, you have to do the $sign.
Because it's a variable.
Yeah, and node env. It's not set to anything.
Okay.
It's not set to anything. I usually, like, this is too much typing for me, and like especially with the dollar and all those caps. So I do just an env. Env shows you everything, but that's too much for me. So I do env, and then I pipe it. You guys remember the pipe? To grep -I, meaning case insensitive. And then I probably would just hit node. I wouldn't even do node underscore env. I would be like, there's going to be few enough results that I'll be able to see. Oh, okay. So path contains node, but there is no node env variable that's set. So what does that tell us about what database is going to be used? Is this going to be true? No. So it'll give us the false condition. Okay. So anyway, just a little aside there. So environment variable is super important though. Okay, so if we go back, so that's why in the package.json we just say export nodeenv test and Mocha. And it just, the way it works is nodeenv will just be test for this command, and then it will revert to being undefined. It'll revert to being undefined again. So if I do npm test, and npm test does its stuff, oh look, they all pass, that's awesome. And then I do my grep again, it's still not defined. It just got set for that particular command, the one that ran right here. Questions on that? Is it okay that I'm using existing code where this is already written rather than writing it from scratch myself? How do you feel about that? Would you rather build it together? Okay.
I kind of wanted to see how your functions relate to your databases. Like that's what I need.
That's what you need. Okay, great. So notice that here, when I made the decision about what database to use, I made it in db.js. db.js is not test code, but db.js is going to be used by test code. Whenever I connect to the database, it's going to go through this db.js file. So this is the point at which I'm going to decide whether I'm going to use the test database or the production database. Why do we use a separate database when testing?
Because you don't want to manipulate your data. You want to manipulate.
Yes, so there are two reasons. One is you don't want to mess up your production data. If you're Facebook and you are testing deleting users, you do not want to test that on existing, like actual production users. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that's reason number one. Reason number two?
Organization? Yeah, it's something else. It's like, there's more to that. Is it because you want to know exactly what this database, if you're using your real one and you don't know the exact changes for each test?
Predictability. You want to say, you want the database to be an entirely predictable state before every test. And that way you can test based on that predictable state, as opposed to like your production database where who knows. Yeah. Okay, good. So actually part of that, making that predictable state is in this. So notice this is in my test folder, this dbutilities.js. So this, I am requiring that database from up here. And now I'm going to truncate all the tables in the database. I'm going to say, here are my tables. For all of them, I am going to truncate the table. I'm going to restart the identity, which means for my serial IDs, I'm going to start over at 1. Otherwise, if you truncate it, it just, like if you had 5 things in there before, the next thing you put in is going to be 6, even though those first 5 things are gone. This restart identity means the next thing you put in is going to be 1. What's this cascade mean? Clean, shiny dishes.
It's like open, but with database.
If I have referential integrity, if, for example, I am truncating pet owners, and pet owners has referential integrity with owners, right? I can't delete, try it a different way. Let's say I'm trying to delete owners, and the owner ID is referenced in the pet owners table. I'm going to get an error because that violates referential integrity. I can't have an owner ID in the pet owners table that doesn't exist in the owners table. So if I remove the owners, a line in the owners table, and there's a line referencing it in the pet owners table, I'm going to get an error. Unless I use Cascade. Cascade says, delete any other lines that might be related to this one, rather than giving me an error.
So it would make sense to say clean.
To say clean, shiny database, yes.
You're on a roll. Because the first thing I thought of was something clean. Like, I don't know why. I don't know.
So this means like any record, anything in the child table
Any-
Equalize it to, right?
Yeah, anything in the dependent table. Yeah, anything that might have a dependency on this row.
Not the table
But
itself.
not
Yeah, a row that's dependent on this one.
also do it vice versa, or it's only if there's like a foreign.
No. So if I deleted a row here and there happened to be the owner ID here, there's no reason I would have to delete the row in the owner ID in the owner's
Any
table.
rows that are related, it's numbers that are
Dependent. Yeah. Thanks for the clarification. It deletes any rows that are dependent, not any rows that are related. Okay. What's this promise dot all? It's fun to watch you think, Celeste. Your face has just gone through about 7 different expressions. So I'm sorry, Brittany, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Yes.
What was your guess?
Oh, that it returns a promise.
Well, it does. You can get that up here, right? But that's what you did. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
Is it like because you can do promise dot like resolve and like is it like returning both the resolution and the rejection, or is it
Oh, that's a great guess, but it is not the case. What am I handing promise dot all here? What data type am I handing promise dot all? I'm not handing it a promise. Yeah, what does map return? No, that's a different kind of map.
that's a capital M map?
Exactly. Now you're just naming types.
I was trying to think of the most ridiculous.
Number. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, nums is 1, 2, 3, 4. Nums dot map. Num.
Yeah, that's exactly how the Pac-Man was you were doing that.
So what is nums dot what is that line going to return?
It's going to return an array where the original array is multiplied by 2.
2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Misha. Okay. All right. So, okay. So yes. So and this is an array of numbers. This one here is going to return an array of what? What am I returning here? It's going to be an array of promises. So promise.
So only gonna give us
Sorry. Sorry, you just blew me to
That's the
mind.
Yes. Okay. So promise all takes an array of promises and is only done when each of those promises is resolved. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to do them in any particular order, but it is going to wait until all of those promises are resolved. And it returns, promise.all returns a promise that resolves to a list of the resolutions, or array.
Well, no, it's okay. It's okay. When you said that, I knew what you meant.
That was a little Python slip there. It resolves to an array of the results of the resolutions of the promises that you gave it. Holy cow, JavaScript is complicated.
What about when I get two rejects?
Yeah, that's a good question. If it's going to be an array of results. So if any of them are rejected, it's going to go to the dot catch. Yeah. %90 sure of that. You're reading about it?
I'm reading about it. It rejects with the value of the promise rejected.
Okay.
Whether or not.
Awesome.
Wait, what?
Say that again.
If one of the promises rejects, then promise not all asynchronously rejects with the value of the promise rejected, regardless of whether the other promises are rejected.
It's like you mean, which one? The first one?
The first one that's rejected.
The first one.
It's like, screw the others.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to send the rejected promise to this dot catch. What do you guys think this might do?
Just the first one.
Yeah, the first
This is
one.
the first one.
That is
Oh,
so
wait a minute.
complicated. It really says any.
Although that any didn't turn red, so I might be making that up. Celeste, my encyclopedia.
I don't see it sounds that any.
Oh, well then, I'm thinking of Python. That doesn't even have promises. So, okay, good. Let's just move on.
Oh, it's promise.race.
Oh, promise.race. Oh, that makes it much more exciting.
Oh, promise not any is when you use Bluebird.
Oh, okay, okay. Promise.race. Okay. Okay. All right. So great. So so initdb is going to return a promise. It's going to be an array of results from all of these promises, whose results I'm really not that interested in. I'm just interested in waiting until all of the tables have been truncated. Okay. All right. Then I am going to seed the database. This one also returns a promise, but this one, thank goodness, I'm doing just one at a time. It resolves to the result of the last insert query, which is this one here. So here now, I am going to just make one insert into species, dog. You know, you can give it, if you just have a $1, you can give it an array, or you can just give it like this value. I think it's a little cleaner just to give it the values, so that's why I erased that array, but either will work.
I read in the PG Promise documentation that they consider a best practice to always use the array.
Well, I want to follow best practices, so there you go. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is going to return a promise when it's done with that insert. And I don't care what it returns. I just want to wait and then do my next insert, which is to insert the pet name Astro into the database. And Astro, what's this 1 indicating?
Oh, the
ID.
species ID.
The species ID. So I'm indicating that Astro is a dog. I'm assuming that this row that I'm inserting is going to have species ID 1, which is a great assumption because I'm only going to run seed after I run initdb, and initdb is going to erase all of the tables and restart all of the serial primary keys at 1. So that's why I can assume that this dog is going to have an ID of 1. But it's good that I am using my test database because I'm going to have very well-defined results, right? If I really wanted to do this with a production database, I certainly would not want to like remove all of the data in order to get predictable results. Okay. So, all right, and so now I'm making a reset DB, which inits and then seeds, and that's what I'm exporting. So after running the reset DB, I will expect the pet owners table to be empty the owners table to be empty, the species to have 1 row, and pets to have 1 row. This is not doing a very thorough job of seeding my database, but apparently it was enough for me at the time. Do you have a question, Misha? Okay. What'd you say? Okay, you let me know. All right, so now let's go to dbtest.js. All right, so I'm using Chai's expect. I'm using this DB, and I'm using get pets and species and update pet name. Those are the things that I'm going to be testing. So let's, so get pets and species is a promise that resolves to an array of objects, each having a key of name and species name. You may resist the JS doc stuff, but right now I'm really glad I have that. And I don't have to try and read this and remember what's going on. Okay, and then update pet name. So here it takes a pet ID and a new name for the pet and resolves to an object with keys success and message. Okay. And no wonder I didn't seed my database with any owners, because I actually don't have any database functions with owners anyway. At some point, maybe I would. All right, so back to dbtest. All right, so now, all right, so I've got that, and then I definitely need reset DB, that one that I just made in my utilities. All right, so now I'm doing a test. Describe get pets and species. So before each, I'm gonna reset the DB. What is this second argument? What data type is that second argument for the before each? It's a function. Often you'll give it an anonymous function, kind of like what I'm doing here, but you don't have to. So this is the equivalent of saying, right? But it's kind of ridiculous that, or like, actually you would have to actually call reset DB there, but it's totally unnecessary. Because if I want a function whose only job it is to call reset DB, I've got one. It's called reset DB. Okay, so I'm gonna call get pets and species, and then so I'm gonna wait for it to be done. Notice that I'm returning this. It's a implied return. You have to do the implied return, because otherwise it won't wait for your promise to resolve. It'll just like move on and your test won't be any good. Okay, so dot then, and then, so actually I think I wanna make that a little bit more clear and do this. And then I just like those implied results sometimes drive me crazy. And you know what, ESLint, you can just go screw yourself. So, all right, so I'm gonna do get, yeah, I know. I'm gonna get pets and species, and I'm gonna do a dot then. And whatever the results are, if we go back to get pets and species resolves to an array of objects, each with the keys name and species name. You okay?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to expect that that array is going to have one result. Okay. That doesn't seem like a very thorough test. So let's make a couple other tests here. It should find Astro. All right, I'm gonna have to, because it's just gonna make me too sad. I'm going to do this, but remember, there's an implied return. Probably.
Oh, I meant after you should find out.
Probably. Okay. All right. So it should find Astro. Okay. So I'm going to do a get pets and species, then results. Okay. And results was an array of objects, each with keys name and species name. So I'm going to expect, ooh, getting saucy here. Expect, go away. I'm going to expect results 0 dot name to equal Astro, right? Oh, come on. What do you want from me?
It's your brackets right there. Line. If you go over, you see you don't have brackets for that function. Right there. No.
Oh.
That one was mine.
This one, no, but neither of them need brackets.
Oh
Yeah.
no, the curly brace
The
for
curly
your
brace.
for your anonymous function is below the other if statement.
What line? Lead me to a
15.
line. 15?
Yeah, that curly brace needs to go on 10.
Awesome. Thank you. Now what? Oh, no, it didn't like that curly brace. Oh, did we, like, so this, oh, I think I need to do that. That's right. That needs to go here. Now,
Holy smokes.
well, no, now it's just mad at me for not doing the arrow.
Sometime it doesn't.
Say that again?
Sometime while like working on something and keep bugging me like disable.
Yeah, you can, but it is useful
It is useful.
in its own special way. Okay, so I'm going to expect the results name to equal Astro. Okay, so let's try it. Great. Now, because there are so many pitfalls, I want to make sure that I can get this test to fail, especially when you're testing asynchronous stuff. A lot of times you're going to get false positives. It failed. That is awesome. Nobody's even watching my failure.
I did.
Okay, thank you, Misha. Nobody but Misha's even watching my failure.
I get into stuff to not work all the time. So
Yeah.
when you show me stuff works, sometimes it's like, well, that's probably not how I'm going to do it. So if you break it,
Yeah.
it's
No, so, okay, so let's do one more. It should find a dog. Right, because it said I'm going to have a key name and a key species name. Great. We'll do the, can we get it to fail? Great. Okay, so. Okay, so the second one, this one looks like this one's a little bit more involved because updating the pet name is a little bit more involved. So here I am defining a pet ID and a pet name up here outside the actual tests. So now I'm definitely resetting the DB before each test. And now I wanted to update the name to the new name. So first I'm going to update it. I'm going to use my pet ID 1 and I'm going to give it the new name. And then now I actually have to do a query to check and see whether it changed the name in the database. I just did. Right? So first I'm going to update the pet. Then I'm going to see what the state of that pet's query, of that pet ID's name is. And I'm going to, and so I know that this db.1 is going to return an object whose keys are going to be column names. And so I can say I expect the column name for that object to equal the new name. Say that again?
Oh, I'm just being. It's not DB.
It's not deep equal. You only need to use deep equals when you have arrays or objects.
Because we're only using the value inside an object is why we're not using equal, because we're not comparing.
Yeah, you're not comparing two objects. I'm comparing two strings. You do not need to use deep equal with strings. You know, you have the worst poker face, Celeste. You did not like that answer.
If I did a double equal, so I was comparing a couple variables that were strings. When you say to put a certain
I would, but that's not what deep equal means, is it?
I think, are you thinking about strict equal?
Deep equal would be like,
Deep equal is when you're comparing like all of the things inside.
not has to be exact.
Far be it from me to question Celeste.
Deep equal is when like you have the object and you want to compare like that the objects are exactly the same,
I
right?
thought that was comparable to the identity versus equality.
I don't believe so.
It's definitely reserved, like not reserved for, but like used for.
Yeah. So it. Okay. This is actually really rare that I get to lord it over Celeste. So let's see. So it causes all of those things to use deep equality instead of strict equality. Now you owe me a beer.
I learned something.
Oh no.
Because in the child library, like expect to equal is a strict equal. Like all the time.
One of these days, Celeste, you will actually learn what you're supposed to learn. One of these days. I know. You're just a constant disappointment to me, frankly. All right. So, okay. And now I'm looking at the message that comes out. The message, the response.success is going to be true when you actually have a legitimate update with a pet ID of 1. But if I have a failure, notice I now am like working on a failure context.
Can you actually roll back to that?
Yeah.
Like what response.success, like where are we getting success?
Great question. So this is returning a promise.
Oh, so it like
Update pet name returns a promise with the keys success and message.
there we go.
And so it's either going to be success true with no message. This is all in service of that Ajax. Success false, could not find pet ID, or success false, and then, you had some, PG promise failure. So in the failure here, now if I'm trying to update pet name with 45, what data type is update fail? It's a promise. It's whatever update pet name returns, and update pet name returns a promise. So here it should set success to false when unsuccessful. So update fail now, we're going to expect that response success to be false. And it should return a specific error message when the pet ID doesn't exist. So I would expect the message, if I tried to update pet ID 45, to be could not find pet ID 45. Really, in this context, I think the reason I didn't do this up here is because no, I really should have done some sort of thing here where I did like get pets and species. You know, so I would do const so that I'm only doing this once.
I've never seen context used before.
It is just syntactic sugar for describe. It's just a way to organize your tests. So I'm just doing a subset of tests here that are failure. And I really probably should have done a context success up here. In fact, I think my context failure is within my describe success. So this is just a holy mess right now. But
Describe success as
yeah, okay, yeah. This is the failure part of the success right here. Okay. All right, that concludes our presentation for today. I need to go somewhere else. So.